Good morning, everybody, and welcome to WHA's October monthly community talks. Today, I will be wearing two hats. First, I'll be introducing the organization, so I'll be representing the organization, and then I'm also the presenter for today. Anjana, are you driving? Would you be able to do the introduction of WHA? Okay, I can go ahead. I think she's driving. So I will first introduce the organization that is hosting today's talk, and then I will switch to me as a presenter for today. So let me start with Wholistic Health Alliance. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, nationally launched. We are a group of holistic practitioners bringing together people from different streams of holistic healing, and getting them together on a single platform so that they can interact with one another, but also be more highlighted to the community, where they are, what do they practice, what are their services and all the other details. And we have several activities. Pre-COVID, we used to have many more annual health fairs, etc. But during COVID, we have stopped in-person events, and 2023 we have started the in-person member and supporter dinner meetings, which are going really good. We just finished the October meeting, and these are very inspiring, very motivating, and very invigorating for all of us. So there are several of these activities. You can check us out on the website www.holistichealthalliance.org, where holistic starts with a W. We also have a youth brigade, youth initiative, who are also engaging in two different projects, teen mental health initiative and food awareness called Fooditude. So please check us out. I'm going to quickly share the two flyers. This is the one for if you're seeing this recording and if you're a holistic practitioner, do consider joining the platform, join your tribe, get nourished, get supported. And the other initiative, as I mentioned, is for the youth. We also give youth volunteer certificates. They learn a lot, leadership, communication, presentation, fundraising. So please check us out on the website. You can see the website on the flyer as well, www.holistichealthalliance.org. All right. With that, I'm going to now switch to being a presenter for today. So once again, welcome to everybody. I am Pratibha Shah. I am a doctor of Ayurveda, and I will be speaking about what Ayurveda is in a little bit. I have an MD in Ayurveda. Back in India, I am a registered doctor. I was with the ministry for 13 years as a chief medical officer. And since 2004, I have been in United States. I also have my master's in public health from BU School of Public Health. And I consult, I teach, I run two nonprofits, and I do a lot of public awareness about healing with non-chemical, non-pharmaceutical methods. That is my passion. So that's in brief about me. And now we're going to start about Ayurveda 101. And this is going to be more of a interactive session rather than a complex PPT. I will be introducing very broadly what Ayurveda is, but I want to keep this more for Q&A today. And if we don't have too many questions, then I will just continue speaking about Ayurveda, which I can speak about for hours, so that's not a problem. So to begin with, I like to simplify subjects and topics. In that vein, I would like to introduce Ayurveda as the user manual for life. What that means is that when we buy gadgets, vehicles, appliances, we always pick up the user manual to find out what is the model of this particular gadget, appliance, vehicle, etc. Now, we do have the option of operating these without reading the user manual, but that will mean the possibility of errors and also not being able to use these efficiently, maybe damaging them because you did not know what the model was and you were not using it appropriately for that model's capacities. And you will also not be able to probably use it to its full lifespan, whether it's a phone or a laptop or a printer, a robotic cleaner, whatever that might be. If you are not taking the time to understand what is the model, what can this model do, and what can it do well, what are its inherent capacities, but also what it cannot do. So if I pick up a cleaner, robotic cleaner, and I don't read the user manual and I try to use it like a mop, I might actually break it down. So that is exactly what applies to us as well, because we all are unique models. So understanding that and understanding what your own unique model can do well by virtue of the inherent design that we are born with, and what these particular models cannot do very well. Plus, what are the model's unique maintenance needs? These three things, if we know, we can operate our models much better, more efficiently, and to the full lifespan of the model. Now, this seems so basic, but the tragedy is that we have steered away from basic wisdom, basic common sense. And we all try to fit populations into a box. We all tend to veer towards what is popular, what is trending, what is everybody else doing. And we should be doing exactly the opposite of that. We should be actually introspecting. Who am I? What is working for me? We should be paying attention. And these are some of the things that Ayurveda guides us beautifully to understand what is our model. There are methods to assess the body type, what we call body type. And once the model is determined, a lot of things fall into place. Oh, why do these things happen to me frequently? Why am I responding to certain foods this way? Why am I feeling miserable when I'm doing certain things? So these are some things that will get answered, and that is very powerful because once we start to understand what is happening in our life, that is very, very empowering. Now, Ayurveda is one of the most ancient, continuously practiced systems of health, or I like to call it a system of life itself in the world. So it is one of the most ancient systems of healing in life. The central principles, one of which I just talked about, understanding the body type, is something that was stated 5,000, 6,000 years ago. But in the 21st century, we have newer challenges as well. We have messed up our resources, which include our water supplies, our soil, our air. So there are newer challenges. And that also Ayurveda has a template to integrate whatever changes with the passage of time, to understand, to analyze what are some of those things that are changing, and then how to modify our choices based on what is happening around us. Thirdly, the most central principle in Ayurveda says that the entire universe, including us, we are composed of 5 basic elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Ether is nothing but space. So, earth, water, fire, air, space, empty space. So, these are 5 elements that the entire universe, including us, we are all made up of these 5 elements. So it's a very, very different framework from the Western medicine approach, which is more reductionist. It's more into the physical compartmentalization of our body, the physical aspect of our body, the physiological aspect of our body. But this 5 element principle, which is a metaphysical framework, is actually provides us with a much broader template to understand the complexity of the human beings and our relationship with the rest of the universe much better. The mapping is much more elaborate rather than distinguishing us as different from our surroundings, our environment, our universe. So that's another beauty, another strength of Ayurveda, that by its fundamental concepts itself, Ayurveda is establishing us as a part of the entire universe. And at all times, that has to be kept in mind. So the seasonal regimens, how to change with the seasons, how to change with different phases of our lives, the childhood, the youth, the adulthood, the aging phase, all of these keep us interconnected with our environment at all times. Every section, every chapter in the ancient treatises point this out, how we are affected by our environment, by things around us, the seasons, the type of geographical area that we are living in, how our body's tendencies can be different. We dry out differently in different areas. Tropical areas have different impact. Marshy areas have different impact. Temperate zones have different impact. So instead of isolating us, as we are living in a cocoon, we don't have to bother about what is around us. Ayurveda continuously highlights the importance of paying attention. Where are we? What are the characteristics of the environment? Respecting those, acknowledging those, integrating those. So then the state of the body and the mind and the spirit, which are all interconnected, is constantly syncing up with what is around us. So we are more connected. I have talked about this in another talk of how interconnected we are, the interconnectedness. That's what the topic was. And that is actually very, very powerful, because now we get up from our homes, we go to an enclosed area which is displaying all fruits, vegetables. That's still a better part, but also very colorful, very brightly packaged, altered foods, modified foods that appear, smell, taste like food, but are not foods. So Ayurveda provides us with the template of how we can train our sense organs to perceive the reality as it is, rather than get taken in by the camouflage or the facade. In fact, one of the primary reasons of causes of diseases is under the bucket of what is called pragya paradha. Pragya paradha means crimes of the intellect. literally translated. But what it really means, how you can understand it, is that we know if we try and use our intellect, which we don't use in current times, most of the times we are not using it. So when we are not using the intellect that we inherently have, see, animals will never go and um, take something that is artificial in the environment. They always go for what is real, what is seasonal. So we are also part of the animal kingdom, and we have that skill in us, that intelligence in us, that awareness in us. But we have stopped using that for the most part. We have, for the sake of convenience, we have stopped using our inherent intelligence that tells us at all times, if we are listening, what is right for us and what is good for us. So these becomes the crimes of intellect. And I'm telling this in a very simplistic manner. It's very deep principle uh, that is worth delving into and understanding in detail. And the second bucket of causes of diseases is actually called Asatmendriyartha Sanyoga, which means um, improper conjugation of senses. So these are the broad buckets, and there is more, but these are the two examples I wanted to give that it may sound very simple, but really these are the causes of most of the diseases today. And we all know that even in a country like United States, which is considered one of the most developed countries in the world, we in this country, we are spending more than 18% of the GDP on healthcare, which is twice the amount of budget for healthcare compared to any other similar country. There is a website, OECD, you can check that out. So this data you'll find there. And the tragedy is that with worst health outcomes. So despite spending so much, the outcomes in healthcare are worse compared to similar countries in Europe or North America. So something is certainly not right. And in US healthcare, the disease burden is mostly from chronic diseases. And when you use the word chronic diseases, it means they are mostly preventable. Where is the education about it, right? People go into the primary care's office, and there are some check marks, the BMI and this lipid panel, and some routine tests, and you're either marked high in certain blood tests, and you are immediately put on prescriptions. Nobody is talking to you about common sense things. How can you eat properly? How can you breathe properly? How many people are breathing properly? So, what I want to highlight today is that we need to just sit in empty space, the ether element. Empty space, I don't mean physically, literally, but empty space in our minds. Because when we create empty space in our minds, the wisdom from within will rise. And you will be able to understand what Ayurveda is saying as a science, but Ayurveda is nothing but universal wisdom. And it is there within all of us. So if you take the time to sit down in meditation, in introspection, you will know what things are not working out for you, what things you should be avoiding. All that knowledge is inherent within us. And as I said in the beginning, I like to simplify things. Of course, there are other things going on in people's lives. People may not have the strength, the option to get that clarity. And there are practitioners like me who can sit down and get all the information from you and put all the dots together and draw out what I call the master wellness plan and give you that guideline of what your body type is, what are some of the things that are going to work for you, and what are some of the things that you should not be having in frequently or in excess, and what lifestyle choices can work for you, etc. So Ayurveda is basically common sense. It is the user manual for life. It has the guidelines of how we can live our life optimally, um, in awareness, and how and what changes we need to make as we enter different phases of our lives, because we are not the same in different phases of our lives. Our body's elemental dominances change irrespective of our body types. For example, in the first half, earth, water elements are dominant because we are growing, we are multiplying, we are expanding. In the second half, 25 to 50, the fire element is dominant because everybody has to go out, eke out a living, get bread and butter on the table. And 50 onward, the air ether elements take over because that is the natural transition. We are expected to wither and become one with the five elements again. So, knowing these things proactively helps us to prepare for these transition times in our lives and not be caught unawares. What is happening? I wasn't like this, especially in women. We all know. I can see at least two menopausal women here, um, Susan and I. So things change. We know that. We know that. We are experiencing it. Ayurveda is a lot about prevention. And when I say prevention, I'm talking about primary prevention. What we see in the healthcare today is secondary prevention, meaning there is screening available, but when you're talking about screening, you're already expecting a disease that is beginning to develop. Ayurveda starts much before that. Most of Ayurveda, half of Ayurveda is actually focused on preventative practices, half of Ayurveda. The first stated goal of Ayurveda says, Swasthasya Swasthya Rakshanam. We have to protect, preserve, and maintain the health of the healthy. This is again basic common sense, right? If I have a cell phone, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to put a screen protector. I'm going to make sure software is updated. This is prevention. Why can't we do that for us, right? We do that for everything around us. We take our car to the garage for servicing regularly. That is preventative. But we are not doing that for ourselves. I don't know, at least four of us are holistic practitioners. We are a self-selected group here right now. Most of the people are not doing it. And this is again a very commonsensical things that we are also mechanical, we are physiological, and we require maintenance as well. So prevention is one of the big fortes of Ayurveda. And under that, we have Vidacharya, daily practices. How can you do eye care, ear care, mouth care, oil pulling, and, Abhyanga, skin care. Skin is the largest organ of the body. How do you do self-care? Self-care is a very broad, generic term. How do you actually get down to doing that? Ayurveda has complete guidelines for that. So prevention, promotion, personalization. This is how I like to sort of bullet Ayurveda in three simple P's. So with that, I think I'm going to take a pause because, as I said, I can go for hours. There's so much about Ayurveda that I can share. I want to open it up for any questions you may have. Please just don't ask me about diseases and their treatments. That's what that is not something I like to do on the talks, especially the public talks. Maybe in an academic setup, I can, because um, this is not the goal of today's talk to mention a disease and I mention a remedy, because that's not how Ayurveda works. It needs to be personalized. Every disease pathway is unique, and it has to be unpacked in that pathway, particular pathway. So, aside of that, please ask me anything. Any questions, any comments?
I would like to make a statement, Pratibha. I have used Ayurveda as my baseline for health for the past 15 plus years, and it's an amazing system of health. It teaches you, you learn how to recognize an imbalance. I mean, not everybody will follow their routines that they have to do all the time, but you get to learn where these imbalances are and how to recognize them. And then when you can recognize them and then bring them back into balance, they have less tendency to get out of hand, if you would say. Ayurvedic system is like no other healthcare system because it personalizes your health. Even in traditional nutritionists, they will give you different information about vegetables that are good for you and anything that is healthy to eat. And a lot of that is really good information. But when you don't personalize each individual person, somebody could say carrots are very good. A carrot juice, juicing carrots might be very beneficial for someone that could help them to heal something. But then for a different individual, in excess, carrot juice could be too much. In excess, carrot juice could be imbalancing. So when you learn your own body type, it's an amazing system of health. And I applaud you for the work that you do, and I have for years.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for that nice introduction. I really appreciate how you kind of highlighted how that does sort of mirror and complement the work of other like holistic health practitioners and integrative health who are kind of working, within the traditional healthcare model, but also outside of it. But how we can sort of maybe start bridging those gaps and having these conversations with people to start helping them bring back that intuition and trust in their own individuality of healing. So I would ask you, for someone who's like interested in kind of learning more or just like kind of starting their own journey, are there particular like resources, books to recommend, working one-to-one with a licensed practitioner like as yourself? Or how do you recommend people kind of start if they just have a curiosity of learning more?
Sure, that's a great question. I would say all of the above. All the options are open. I'm a senior faculty for several schools. You could enroll formally also as a student at different levels, as a health counselor or a practitioner level. I mean, it has to start from the first level, of course. For just a general introduction to the system and its principles, there are a lot of online resources. Maybe I can share a couple. And I have some book recommendations from my students because I have studied the original texts. And those are like thick, they're right here behind me, actually, some of them. But there are sort of English language texts by Western scholars on Ayurveda. I could share some of them. And then, of course, one-on-one is available for getting a consult yourself, for mentorship, for shadowing, and continuously, getting an insight into the system. So I would say all of the above. You can get started wherever you think is feasible for you right now. And then if you're interested in deeper learning, we can connect, and whatever you whatever is going to work for you right now. Depends on within your work life, what can fit in, what is suitable. So yeah, all the options are available. Yeah. Yes, Susan.
There is a book that I read many years ago that might interest you. It's called Perfect Health, and it's by Deepak Chopra. And I thought it was an amazing book. I actually have a picture of it here, if she would like to
This
see
was
it.
long back, right? 20 years ago, maybe.
It was. They may even have a newer version of them. It was a long time ago, but it gives a really good introduction, and it gives some really good information about the different
Body
different
types.
doshes, and it's, I mean, it
Thank
gives you a
you.
good background of things.
Yeah, and Deepak Chopra is MD medicine. I think he was an ENT specialist. Then he completely switched to Ayurveda and transcendental meditation, Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, and he's now considered like that one of those Hollywood gurus, So yeah, he's become an industry on his own. But that's I think one of the first few books he had written. So I do think that's a good book that you can start. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions? And I hope, Beverly, I answered that question. I mean, if you think I need to expand on it more, let me know.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate the resource. I'm familiar with his work, so that's great. I'd be happy to pick up a copy. And I appreciate you highlighting sort of as an individual seeking the care, but also as another healthcare practitioner, like if it's something that you want to kind of learn more in a professional capacity to kind of integrate. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interest in Ayurveda is actually growing quite a bit. I have spoken at nurses conferences, and there's a Holistic Nurses Association. They meet at MGH quite frequently. I know after COVID, they're trying to get it back again in motion, but I have been there too. I have spoken at Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, MCPHS. So there is interest not just from the public, but also from the other side of the care, you can say. That is a very good sign because the client should always be at the center of the care. And that has shifted in the current healthcare. It's the system is stronger, the client is out. The system is growing like a monster, and the client is edged out. The client is not at the center of the care most of the times. It's the system that is the overpowering one. So if we have interest and integration from nurses and doctors, that is really, really good for the patient, because ultimately the care should be patient driven. Nothing else should supersede that. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, I can talk a little more. Bhavna, Anjana is again our regular member, so I don't know. I know she's probably driving also. Bhavna, if you have any question, please feel free to unmute.
Sure. Yeah, it's the first time I'm just listening. No questions so far, but it's really helpful. So thank you.
Of course. And the presentation has been recorded and still being recorded. So I will be putting it up on our YouTube channel because Beverly, it's our festival time going on right now, actually. So a
Yes.
lot of them are these 10 days are like we go crazy. So it's the 8th day today, right, Bhavna?
Yes, today is 8th day, and
Ashtami.
exactly. So that's why
Yeah,
I joined a little late, because I was
I
finishing up
know.
all the
Kanjak? Okay.
rituals. Yes,
Okay.
Kanjak. Yes, exactly.
I know, but I'm actually leaving for a conference next week. So this is and then I'm coming on 30th, and not next week, in 3 days. Then I'm coming back on 31st. So I had to do it this weekend.
Great.
So it's nice that it is recorded. I know there are quite a few people that couldn't get
Yeah,
on today and
maybe.
asked if it was going to be recorded.
Yeah. So in conclusion, then I just want to say that Ayurveda is not a medical science only. I once again want to highlight that it is a life science, and it gives so much wisdom on how to live life optimally in a balanced manner, in harmony, not just with who we are, but also with everything around us. So it is something that no matter what profession you are in, people should have Ayurveda in their home. It's like having an elder, wise person at home who can guide you in difficult times of health, of physical health, mental health. Lot of counseling is part of Ayurveda, holistic counseling, I would say, not just um, what we see in therapy a lot these days is a very bookish type of therapy, very not connected with the client that much. I mean, it's difficult to find a very good therapist. I think you all know that. So Ayurveda has a lot of counseling as well, and a lot of philosophy, life philosophy, lot of tools. There is a science called Sattva Vajaya that is Ayurvedic psychotherapy, and it is so robust. It 5,000 years ago, all these things are written like formulas, how to redirect the mind, how to shift the mind. All those methodologies are in our ancient texts. And very importantly, Ayurveda focuses on the rogi, not the roga. Meaning to say, rogi is the person, roga is the disease. So Ayurveda never loses sight of the person, and at no point do they supersede the disease over the person. This is very, very important. In Western medicine, the focus is the disease, not the person. So the cardiologist, for example, is focusing only on getting the cardiac numbers in range. In doing that, if the kidneys get affected, they will just raise their hands and they'll say, I cannot do anything. You can go to the urologist. So you see there's a world of difference in this kind of approach. Because for the person, the kidneys are as important as the heart. So when you're focusing on the disease, you end up giving strong antibiotics because you're trying to kill the disease without paying attention to the fact you're also killing the person, meaning you're killing the person's microbiome, which is a integral, important part of that human being. The immunity comes from there. The neurotransmitters are being manufactured in the gut. So when you are focusing on the disease, you lose sight of the person. This is a big, big, big differentiator. But when you're keeping the focus on the person, the disease will get alleviated without harming the person. Of course, the tools in Ayurveda are all natural, all from the, around us, plants, herbs that have medicinal properties, spices, some animal products also. And also recognizing the person as a whole of mind, body, spirit, not just the body. Because a lot of times in my practice, I'm actually I'm actually helping. I don't use the word treating because I'm not licensed in this country. But most of the times, I'm helping the person with their emotional health, their stress levels, which have a direct physical impact. And it's beautiful to see. I've seen people losing weight just with that emotional balancing, dropping 10, 15 pounds. You hold so much with emotions. So these are all the very, I would say, fundamental things that we have forgotten. And when I say common sense, I just want to keep on talking about it. You know, people are having iced water with their meals. Now, when it is meal time, your personal burner, which is your metabolic system, your stomach, where you're getting all the digestive juices, the gastric juice, the bile juice, the hydrochloric acid, they need to be sharp and hot to be able to digest the food. So, first, you're killing that fire with iced water, and then you're eating and then expecting it to be processed properly. So, this is really basic lack of common sense. You wouldn't put cold water on your burner before you start cooking. And that is what our stomach does. It cooks the food further. It helps to break down an apple in a way so that it can become a muscle tissue or a skin tissue, right? So you are killing that process, and then you are wondering, why am I feeling so bloated, so heavy, right? And if you see in the Oriental culture, always the meals are accompanied by a small cup of warm herbal tea. Warm, you are helping the fire. Cold, you are dousing the fire. It's common sense, right? We don't do that when we are starting to cook our pasta or rice or something. So this is what I try to bring attention to for my clients is basic things. And a lot of times you fix the basic things and most of the complex diseases just disappear. Now, I've worked with Susan for so long, she just said, but I hardly see her of late. And that is the goal. Once you're in balance, once the client is educated, informed, that information and education remains with them. It becomes part of their uh, choices, how they are looking at their food, their lifestyle, because now they know differently. And that is the goal. The goal is not keeping you on some herbs and concoctions lifelong. So these are some of the things I wanted to highlight. I wish more people could have joined so that I could have answered more questions because uh, somehow the level of awareness in general public is a little low. People think homeopathy, naturopathy, Ayurveda, they're all the same. So I would have loved to answer more questions, but you can always email us at wholistichealthalliance.org. Go there and you'll find an email that you can send your comments, your questions on, and I will be happy to do another session if needed with more people joining. So any last questions, comments before we close? All right. Thank you so much for coming on a Sunday morning. And especially, I know for Indians, we are having so much going on right now. Hopefully, we'll be back again soon, but definitely we have another talk in November and another in December. So we do have monthly talks, and these are all by our holistic practitioners. So stay tuned. And if you are listening in and you're a holistic practitioner, do consider joining the platform because we need to make this movement stronger. And if you join, we become stronger because everybody knows there's no money in healing. So we do not get a lot of support, recognition, licensure, integration. Those are our big fights or big challenges, I would say. So the more people join, the more the public wants something, we can expect some policy changes. So please do join if you're listening. All
Okay.
right.
Well, thank you very much,
Of
Dr. Shah.
course.
Appreciate it
Always,
very much.
always a pleasure. You know that.
Mhm.
And it was very nice meeting you too, Beverly, and everyone else there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful
Thank
day.